Working for this man was literally a death sentence for a lot of Americans. This is John Rockefeller, one of the richest men in America. And I'm not even kidding. A lot of people died because of him. But anytime something would go wrong and people would start to protest, he would call one man. His name was Ivy Lee. He was a publicist, also a public relations expert, and he's considered the inventor of modern-day public relations and the press release. He was so good at writing press releases that newspapers didn't catch on, and they thought that they were articles, and they would just run them right like normal articles, essentially giving free advertisement to whoever he was working for. The Rockefellers love this man. John Rockefeller had the same relationship with the media that I have with the police. If you don't talk to them, they might leave you alone. Ivy Lee came along and was like, that's stupid. You need to talk to the media. After 2 women and 11 children died, Ivy Lee made it all go away. Americans hated the Rockefellers with a passion, and they would always have protests against them. The Rockefellers were greedy as hell. They would open mines in the most remote places and build houses there. So essentially the workforce that lived there also had to pay them rent, which they would dock from their paycheck. They would hire several groups of workers that didn't speak the same language, and they would split them up so they couldn't communicate with each other, and they couldn't communicate with union organizers either. And then they would just end people's lives. They would call in their own private military, the National Guard of whatever state they were in, to the point where a president had to get involved in calling the army because what are you even doing, and why do you have your own private army to end people's lives? This guy's job was to strictly make them look human. And he basically did. And he essentially changed how Americans saw the Rockefellers. And in 1914, the Rockefellers called in their private military to stop people from striking in Colorado, and they ended up ending the lives of a lot of people and just leaving them there, to the point where trains that were passing by saw fields full of decomposing bodies. This guy came in and was like, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to go there and listen to what they are complaining about to begin with. So he sponsored a plaque to be unveiled, and he got one of the widows of one of the men that was unalived by his private army to unveil it. He didn't say anything to the people or do anything to make their situations better. He just stayed there and listened. Outside of this man, the only thing that saved John Rockefeller from that was the fact that it was World War I. Ivy Lee knew that, and he told the Rockefellers that, hey, if you want Americans to love you, you're going to have to do your big one. So the Rockefellers all got their money together, and they ended up funding the construction of Rockefeller Center. Now, of course, this was one of their big things, and this happened about 15 years after what happened in Colorado. They set up charitable trusts and educational trusts in the meantime. And that was mostly because of this man basically telling them, like, hey, if you want to repair your image, you're going to have to give up some money. But this man's tactics are still used today. Basically, hey, if the public doesn't like something, say it in a way that will get them to fall in line and make them like it. Just like when people say TikTok is a national security risk when they don't do anything different from what other apps are already doing.